Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we chat about everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can listen to the Lunchtime Series on all your major podcast channels today. In today's marketing and leadership segment, we have birthday boy and marketing communications expert and co-host Craig Pagely. How you doing, Craig? Happy birthday!
Kevin, thank you so much. Yeah, great. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, glad. Beautiful sunny day out there. Not necessarily that warm, but yeah, it's a gorgeous day. Great day to be celebrating. And as I learned a short while ago from you, it's a new moon, which represents, it's in fact the biggest new moon, and it represents new beginnings. So may this be the start of some really exciting new beginnings for me as well. Bring it on. Yeah.
So, Craig, to off the cuff kind of question. At this, we won't say like, okay, it's 38 years old. At 38 years old, like, what have you learned? What can you share? What do you think is the wisdom of the ages that people should know today? Like, if you could share that with people.
You know what, Kevin, for me, some of the things that I've learned is, so firstly, it's about respect those around you, and those, particularly those in your life, respect them with an even greater level of sincerity there. But yes, absolutely respect. Be bold, just, again, step in, don't be scared. Life is a challenge. Being in this industry is a challenge at the best of times, but just, put your best foot forward and really dive in and, fail fast, learn fast, get up and go again. And don't lock yourself into one area of expertise or career path. Just the world is open for so many experiences in this career of agency world and communication. So yeah, I've been very blessed to have been able to experience multiple levels of it. But yeah, just, sincerity, respect, and just live life with good values, because when you're projecting, that comes back to you as well.
Live life with good values. I like that. I think that's exactly the point, and I think that's a lesson that you can take with to your grave, kind of thing. Live life with good values. Thank you, Craig. So yes, the cricket was on. I don't know if you watch cricket. There was rugby on. There was Grand Prix on. I only watched some of the rugby, so I can't speak about the rest.
The rugby was incredibly tormenting. The Springboks did not play well at all, but I just persevered through to the end. Argentina should definitely have won the game. They missed a couple of good kicks, which would have put them far ahead. But yeah, lessons learned for the Springboks. Let's see what happens on Saturday this week coming. The team in Argentina. Cricket, absolutely. And I watched the last wicket being taken last night by Broad in his final game of because he's retired, and my God, what a wonderful, in fact, the last 2 wickets taken. So it was really, really great to see England win their game. Unfortunately, they don't gain the Ashes. Aussie keep the urn, but great leveler of the series. Phenomenal cricket in the series. It was really, really great. And then, of course, I'm an F1 freak, so most definitely I was watching that.
It's interesting, Craig. Like, I'm just thinking back to the COVID years, and that all went away in such a big way. I mean, obviously it went away, but when there was no more sport, I remember people almost going through withdrawals of going, we can't even watch sport, So I mean, for South Africa specifically, we are pretty much a nation of sporty people. We love our sport, and we quite committed and dedicated to the teams that we support. But that across the board, I think it's quite a big sort of chunk of the nation.
It's a really great unifier for our country as well. That's one incredible thing about the focus we have on sport. No matter how challenged we are with politics and economics and all the rest of it, when we are in a stadium together, my goodness me, South Africans just come together in a way that I haven't experienced anywhere else. So yes, sport is a great moment for all of us. The other thing that you mentioned about COVID and all sport disappearing, Well, obviously, that was really the beginning of the big boom in online gaming. And that brought about another whole channel for advertisers and marketers, and online gaming hasn't receded. It's just grown and grown and grown from that point onwards.
Yeah, it's interesting how all of these things have a knock-on effect on each other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Last week's the conversation, we addressed the first part of the Brand Watch report on digital marketing trends, right? Before we get into the second part of that conversation, what are the key reminders from last week's conversation?
Kevin, yeah, thanks. As you noted, it was the Brand Watch report. It was titled 2023 Digital Marketing Trends. And the key takeaway points I'm going to share now is just a summary of the first 5 trends that we looked at last year. So trend 1 was scrappy content is thriving. We had a really good chat about this. Scrappy content isn't bad content. This approach can enable social media managers to take advantage of trends quickly to garner immense engagement, also while showcasing a company's culture and a bit of a sense of humor. And it's really great for attracting employees. Trend 2 was the coming of age of influencer marketing, and it's taken a while to get here. So don't ignore virtual influencers. Virtual influencers are receiving much higher engagement rates than real people.
Yeah.
Making use of their space in the metaverse is key, as well as their social media presence. This could be worth keeping an eye out on for brands wanting to expand their digital reach. Trend 3 is it's totally in to be ethical. Lovely point here. Show off your brand values across social media. Brands that share ethical practices across their digital presence will definitely see benefits. From a wider consumer base to increase sales, statistically, these brands are genuinely more likely to benefit from their unethical counterparts. Trend 4 is a cookieless future, something we're really battling with. Expand your database, reduce the impact by gathering more first-party cookies through methods such as website subscription and customer surveys, plus work on strengthening that SEO strategy to compensate for the loss in ad traffic. And lastly, trend 5 is brands tackle social media fatigue. Build stronger relationships with your customers. The more your audience is used to seeing your content, the more likely they are going to pay attention to it. Keep your messaging consistent across social media channels to reap the benefits. And yeah, those are the key reminders from the first 5 trends, Kevin.
Craig, I'm still amused. Like trend number 1, scrappy content is thriving, and trend number 3, it's totally in to be ethical. Like I just like, guys, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Last week it was a good conversation. It's on the Lunchtime series. You can check it out on YouTube and all your major podcast channels. And that's the digital marketing trends happening in 2023. So, Craig, what is up for grabs today on today's conversation?
So, Kevin, we're going to look at the remaining 5 trends, trends 6 to 10 from the Brand Watch report. Trend 6 is communities are on the rise. Trend 7 is augmented reality as a preferred way to shop. Trend 7, metaverse sets a new level of gamification. Trend 8, at least trend 9, brands continue to experiment with emerging technologies. And the final trend is multi-format content. And yeah, what's interesting is some of these trends we've spoken about sort of 2 years ago when we started the show, and we saw some of the trends were sort of in decline, but definitely there's a reality that these trends are on the growth again. So yeah, just to note, Kevin, that the report provides wonderful tips for marketers section at the end of each trend, and there's 3 key tips that are really there for marketers to consider in their digital marketing strategies and some of those implementation activities. So let's jump in and start with trend 6.
Yeah,
communities are on the rise teaches us the following. So Kevin, this point opens with the statement that people want to belong and connect, creating an opportunity for brands to deepen their relationship with their customers. The report also notes that smart brands don't just have a strong presence, but they actually also know where their customers are. Quite the opposite of recent years where, to quote, it was just, it was enough to be present on the bigger social networks. Implement your social media presence and figure out the algorithms thereafter. This is really about using the data, understanding the data to get to that close proximity to the customer and or consumer. As we discussed before, Kevin, one of the reasons consumers spend their time online is to connect with people or brands they love, which means that it's getting more and more difficult to cut through the noise of the big social networks. And this is definitely a shift that's going to be quite prevalent as we go through the rest of 2023. The report also references a quote from Ian Ferguson, who's the Brandwatch Community Platform Manager. And it's a good quote, and it reads as follows. It says that communities are important spaces for brands and have the power to create loyal advocates. But this does not happen overnight. Brands must invest in their communities or risk falling behind their competitors who have accurately identified their customers' and prospects' needs for trusted peer content and social validation. So hard work for brands. The tips for point, or at least trend 6 here, is the tip 1 is niche content for dedicated audiences. Put in some research before you build your audience to find out what your audience actually wants. Think about the value that you can give them. And this should be sharing knowledge, exclusive information, even events, or making them feel heard in future product development. A really good piece of advice there. Tip 2 is about nurturing that relationship. Core of a community is the relationship that members build with each other. So while your main goal is to get people to love your brand, you should really focus on something other than brand promotion, delivering on getting close, gathering experiences where people can actually share and gain information about the topic they love and learn from that feedback loop in that regard as well. And then tip 3 on this trend is encourage user-generated content. Once successfully set up, your community will definitely have a pool of highly dedicated consumers. Motivate them to post their experiences and acknowledge in the community. Hearing product recommendations from other customers is definitely seen as much more trustworthy than promotion from brands.
Craig, what's interesting about, finding a community and building that community is, I don't know if you know Mel Robbins. She actually posted yesterday and casually on her social media was saying, do you know what your social media is? Your social media is telling people about who you are and finding the community that actually wants to be connected to who you are.
100%.
And I was like, that's exactly
exactly it. That's exactly it.
Kind of terms. And it's brilliant because I think that's what it speaks to when it comes to the community part. Yeah.
Brilliant. Moving to trend 7, augmented reality as the preferred way to shop teaches us the following. So point 7 opens with the statement that consumers expect marketers to seamlessly connect digital experiences with physical stores. And yeah, this is the world of AR and VR, Kevin. And some stats for you, because I know you like stats, is that AR and VR market gained $28 billion in 2021 and is expected to grow to more than 450 billion in value by 2030.
So you're basically saying if you can start investing in AR and VR currently, you're going to make money.
Definitely. Yeah. In reality, Kevin, with our technologies, brands can remove digital customer experience barriers and they can connect physical stores with online stores. And one of the greatest things there is reach much younger consumers because we know that they're quite engaged and lean into these technologies. And this is especially relevant in retail where customers can virtually try on, they can try cosmetics, fit on clothing, position furniture in situ before they buy, etc. And then again, referencing the Brandwatch consumer research, online consumer conversations around virtual try-ons actually increased by 8% between January and November last year compared to the same period the previous year. And as we'd expect, this has probably increased significantly over this period with greater adoption of virtual brand engagements happening all around us. And to this extent, Kevin, it's definitely worth noting that experience, a great word, experience, is the most mentioned keyword in online consumer conversations around the virtual try-on. Yeah. So brands need to really work hard to ensure that experience proposition is just top of its game and seamless. And the key point to note here is that AR technology could actually revolutionize the likes of the healthcare industry in the next 10 years. Yeah. The tips for marketers on this trend is be playful. With all the new technology, there's room for experimentation. Try new things and inspire others. Do research around ways you can actually complement your consumers' needs and experiment with ways to implement this new tech. Tip 2 is make AR part of your customer experience. consumers want to try products before they buy, and this is one of the biggest buying barriers with online shopping. With AR technology, you can definitely inform those purchase decisions and hopefully reduce those return rates, because the return rates we're seeing are really costing brands significantly. There's a lot of commentary around some brands actually starting to dial back on their thinking of their return propositions. And tip 3 is connect the digital with the physical. So don't keep your digital and physical store separate. They really need to complement each other. Create that holistic customer experience by making shopping in your physical stores much more interactive and personalized for your customers, Kevin.
Craig, I think for me, I haven't seen any AR and virtual reality kind of areas in marketing yet, and I'm sure that as you say, it's one of the trends that's we're going to see sort of grow exponentially in the next couple of years. But I think some of the stuff that we have chatted about throughout the last couple of shows and our last 2 years, I think have touched on it, but I don't think it's still part of South African reality. And I think it's going to be quite exciting to to go online and do a bit of a virtual shop and just sit on your couch and walk through a mall and go and choose out some outfits. And I mean, I know that there's you can take a picture of your lounge now and put it into a computer simulated whatever. And it gives you options on how to design and place some decor in your environment.
Yeah, there's some really great apps that enable that as well, Kevin. There really are. So from colors on walls to couches, selecting a catalog of couches pointed at a particular part of the room, and the AR positions that couch in scale in that space, and you can move around and just really set out your home and buy digitally via that catalog and have it delivered, and it all works because you've had the chance to simulate that experience. Take note, word experience again. Yeah.
Exactly.
And interesting, you mentioned the likes of brands not adopting it as much as we'd expect. There definitely was a sort of a crest in the adoption of AR and VR for a period of time, but you're right. I think in South Africa it has diminished. I don't see much of it. I do believe we're going to see a big surge in it again. There's much more familiarity happening with the metaverse as well. People are beginning to lean in and trust the metaverse a bit more, and that definitely is going to bring more of those virtual malls to bear and things like that. And then obviously with the likes of Apple and these fantastic headsets that have been developed, we're definitely going to see a much more integrated use of this technology.
Yeah.
So, in fact, a good segue to trend 8, Kevin, actually. Metaverse set a new level of gamification, and this trend teaches us the following. The point opens with the following statement. With metaverses, companies could reach a younger audience and implement gamification in their marketing strategies. And it's really gamification that is the hook in this particular space. So this is a topic we've really just touched on in our previous shows. That said, we've also acknowledged that while the metaverses aren't yet mainstream, more and more consumers are definitely warming to the idea, Kevin, and the interest and participation in metaverses is definitely on the rise. This is validated by the fact that between January last year and November last year, there were over 19.2 million mentions of metaverses in online conversations. And according to BuzzSumo, a cloud-based platform that helps brand discover the best engagement content and outreach opportunities across social and search, they noted that over 265,000 articles were published, generating over 13 million engagements on the topic of metaverses, Kevin. And the tips for marketers here is tip 1, don't forget your brand voice. Metaverses may seem colorful playgrounds for some, but making it easy to get lost in the superficial world. So it's important not to lose your brand voice and identity, and stay alert to the fact that not everything that happens in the metaverse stays in the metaverse. So ensure that the tonality and behavior of your brand carried into the real world really is what you're wanting the brand to represent. Tip 2 is be inclusive. Metaverses offers new ways for people to express themselves and interact with people globally. As a brand, you should be as inclusive as possible, whether you're making an NFT, makeup filter, or digital avatars, or even curating a whole new space in the metaverse. It's important to make sure everyone is welcome and able to enjoy it. And then tip 3 is potential game changer. The immersiveness of the metaverse could be a whole new way for brands to build fantastic customer experiences, going back to the word experience again. But new and cutting edge also means more risks are involved, and there's still many unknowns that marketers really should be aware of in the metaverse, Kevin.
Great. And as much as the metaverse is, people are curious and it's a big part of what the world's doing currently. My head still goes to the evolution of humans, and how do humans then stay human? And how do we then essentially become more human based on the fact that the metaverse might, simulate life and simulate relationships in the end. And I think there might come a day where you're allowed to go to a shopping mall and have absolutely no devices with you, or an environment where you are forced to engage with humans. But I mean, I'm just making this.
I know it's a great point, because the indulgence and intense use of technology that we all so familiar with has definitely changed relationships between ourselves. That's an important thing to understand. And you're right. Where is that sort of fulcrum point where we actually now becoming a world where relationships are getting more tenuous, and it's really harder and harder and harder to build deep, meaningful relationships human to human, because we're doing it all through technology. Very valid point.
Yeah, it's almost like parts of us we're losing our humanness to a large degree. And it's like, how do you then become more human with all of this technology hitting us at every moment, at every day, at every possibility?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how we evolve around it.
I think the humanness of the future is a wonderful topic to look at.
Yeah.
Moving to trend 9, brands continue to experiment with emerging technologies, and this opens with the following statements. Brands are evolving in how they use new tech, recognizing it as an opportunity to make the headlines and engage with customers in new ways. So yeah, I can resonate with the reference from artificial intelligence to machine learnings to NFTs and blockchain technology, Kevin. The past few years has definitely seen an emergence of a number of these exciting technologies that offer brands new opportunities to create a lot more interesting marketing activations. And we learned here that in 2022, more brands are using these emergency techs to push the boundaries of what they're capable of. But as mentioned earlier with the metaverse, is just there needs to be caution with the experimentation and be really aware of the risks. The primary example cited is focused on NFTs, where in the past few years, we've obviously seen a huge boom in interest and promising projection for growth, but it's caution, take note, projections only, and we're definitely seeing a leveling of that, and some of the values that were achieved in NFT space and products has really come down, and sort of the reality is setting in. The reason I say that this is that search data around NFTs highlights the fact that consumer interest in the topic has definitely reached its peak, and searches are clearly on the decline around NFT space. Experiments help push the industry forward, but marketers should always exercise caution before jumping into these expensive new activations, especially when budgets are tight. And the 3 tips for marketers on this trend is that stay true to your brand. While it can be tempting to dive headfirst into these new technologies, it is still essential to be consistent across all of your consumer touchpoints. The real winners will be the brands that actually manage to join the new trends while being faithful to their brands and to their followers. Check the tide. Tip 2, experiments can be expensive. Before jumping in, check to see how other brands have fared and how general interest in the technology you're trying out is trending. Without the pressure of hosting virtual events or launching the likes of NFT collections, brands can still embrace some of the small scale experimentations, trying new things and seeing how they align with their brands, Kevin. And the last tip here is never lose sight of your audience. Most important point. Before you start experimenting with these emerging technologies, find out whether your audience is even open to it at all. You should also make sure that people not as tech savvy have an easy option to buy in and access your content, Kevin.
Craig, I think, and just for a dummy like me, when it comes to NFTs, I know that we've spoken about it, we've touched on it before, but I think we should have a show on all the things that's out there that just explain exactly what the hell it is, because like I know that there's VR and AR, and I get what it is, but I think when it comes to NFTs, I don't even know what it is or like how it functions.
So NFTs, Kevin, are non-fungible. Let me try that again. Non-fungible tokens, and I think that's a really great point. Let's do a show that sort of just demystifies these technologies again, from the ARs to the VRs to the NFTs to any of these other acronyms that we all sensing around us. Yeah, let's do that. I'll open one of the shows and revisit the fact that I know I look at a lot of these trends on the web weekly, and clearly NFTs have been in decline. There is no doubt about that. So it'd be interesting to establish why and have a bit of a show that picks up on these topics again, definitely. But yeah, Kevin, moving to trend 10, the final trend here, multi-format content. And we learned the following here, it's probably the most important trend, and again, a hugely relevant topic that we've referenced in the past 2 to 3 weeks, Kevin. And this particular trend opens with the following statement. Marketers will need to diversify their content offering to shape up to consumer needs. And it's always about meeting consumer needs and expectations. And we learn that consumers want these tailor-made experiences, and they want this remarkable content, including the likes of, fits like a glove personalization. And the reality is consumers want it yesterday. And this includes the likes of blog posts, webinars, infographics, podcasts, videos, quizzes, white papers, case studies, ebooks, all of the components that are really relevant for B2B marketers as well. And the newsletters, articles, checklists as well, Kevin. The 3 tips for this particular trend is be accessible. And you and I have spoken about that because, you really are producing great levels of content, and it is the way to be accessible. As a marketer, you want to repurpose your existing content in a wide range of formats and spread it into the different channels of relevance. Start writing down your thoughts, upload your podcast, share your slides, film your day-to-day, and live stream your events. Tip 2 is communicate in local and detailed terms. Target specific audiences based on what is most relevant to them, always what is most relevant. This means creating specific contents for generations, locations, genders, or hobbies. Now that companies have access to so much data, users can really expect them to provide much more tailored experiences across that entire customer journey. And the last tip here is personalize your content experiences to connect with your audiences. To quote Chipotle CMO Chris Brunson, really, what a great brand. They're doing phenomenal advertising. When they see these lighthearted tributes to social chatter and fan behavior, they feel even more connected to Chipotle. Go and have a look at some of the stuff that they're doing, Kevin. Phenomenal brand.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen anything around Chipotle, so I'll definitely go and check that out. But Craig, I know you've shared tips for marketers for each of the 5 trends, but as we come to the end of the show, what are some of the key takeaway points for our listeners on these trends?
Kevin, yeah, great. So just like last week, I'm going to just pick up one tip from each of the sections or trends that we've covered in the last 5 today as the takeaway. So for trend 6, communities are on the rise. The piece here that I'm going to reference is nurture relationships. Core of community is the relationships that members build with each other. So while your main goal is to get people to love your brand, you should focus on something other than brand promotion, but on delivering close gathering experiences where people can really share and gain information about the topic they love. Trend 7, which is augmented reality as a preferred way to shop. The takeaway tip here is make AR part of your customer experience. Consumers want to try products before they buy them. This is one of the biggest buying barriers with online shopping. With AR technologies, you can inform purchase decisions and reduce those return rates. Trend 8, metaverse sets a new level of gamification. One simple tip here. With metaverses, companies could reach a younger audience and implement gamification in their marketing strategies. Trend 9, brands continue to experiment with emerging technologies. The reminder point here is experiments help push the industry forward, but marketers should always exercise caution before jumping into these expensive new activations, especially when their budgets are tight. Trend 10, multi-format content. The key takeaway here is be accessible. As a marketer, you want to repurpose that existing content into a wide range of formats and spread it around. Start again, as I mentioned a short while ago, write down your thoughts, upload your podcasts, share those slides, and film your day-to-day activities and live stream your events. But the report closes with a great statement, Kevin. It says that the digital market landscape is constantly changing, from NFTs to social fatigue. Marketers really need to be nimble to meet the evolving customer needs. As consumers get used to new technology, or as they move to new ways of spending their time online, it's important for brands to meet the audiences where they are. It's impossible to try every single new trend, but it's definitely possible to dabble in new ways to reach your audiences. So try implementing one or two of these trends in your digital strategy to reap the benefits with your consumers. And those are the key takeaway points for today, and a wrap on the 2023 Marketing Trends Report as published by Brandwatch, Kevin.
Fantastic, Craig. Thank you so much. If guys, if you want to go and check that out, check it out on YouTube or all your major podcast channels on the Lunchtime series. It's 2023 Digital Marketing Trends. Craig, and Chris Brogan's digital quote says, marketers need to build digital relationships and reputation before closing a sale.
Nice. It talks to very much what we've just spoken about today in many of the trends. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think really is. It speaks well to being so intentional about what it is you're marketing on, because when you start unwrapping that to that degree, you build that relationship and you build that reputation, and because you're doing that, that's why people will buy.
Absolutely, brilliant.
Great, a fantastic birthday, and
thank you, Kevin. Yeah, a busy day ahead, but hopefully it can end early with a bit of socializing.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic day, and thanks for the show, and I'll chat to you.
Yeah, you definitely have a good one. Thanks, Kevin.
No, bye.